Good evening. You're watching the main news on HKIBC. I'm Azam Khan. Here's a look at tonight's top stories. Another national anthem row erupts, this time at the powerlifting championships in Dubai. Social distancing rules are here to stay for winter, as Hong Kong records another 5-digit uptick in COVID cases. And South Korea reached the last 16 of the World Cup after a dramatic final day in the group stage. There was yet another blunder involving the national anthem at an international sporting event. The gold medal moment for Hong Kong powerlifter Susanna Lin was marred by an anthem mix-up from the organizer, but the athlete earned praise for her quick response. Janice Lowe reports.
Just 2 weeks after the wrong national anthem was played at a Rugby Sevens match in South Korea, the same mistake was repeated at a sporting event. This time, it took place at the Asian Classic Powerlifting Championship in Dubai. As Hong Kong powerlifter Susanna Lin received her gold medal in the 47 kilograms Masters 2 category, a song linked to the 2019 protest was played in the stadium. Noticing the major blunder, Lin made a T sign with her hands to call for a pause. The gesture was in line with guidelines given to Hong Kong athletes after the previous incident in mid-November. The music stopped soon after, and a commotion followed. A woman, believed to be a Hong Kong team member, could be heard protesting in the background.
This is the wrong one.
We have only this one.
Well then,
This one is wrong?
this one is wrong.
This is only there.
Okay, then,
No.
then play from the YouTube.
China?
China. See China.
You want to hear first?
The correct anthem, the March of the Volunteers, was then played. But there seemed to be an issue with the audio clip. The anthem was put on repeat mode before it was cut short on the second iteration. In a statement, the Hong Kong Weightlifting and Powerlifting Association insisted it had acted according to the guidelines. We requested the correct anthem from the Sports Federation and Olympic Committee of Hong Kong and provided it to the organizers upon arriving in Dubai on Thursday, it said. It has lodged a protest to the Asian Powerlifting Federation and will submit a report to the relevant bodies. The SAR government strongly deplored and opposed the incident, but praised the action taken by the Hong Kong representatives on the spot, which upheld national dignity. The incident is the latest of a series of anthem mix-ups in sporting events. Speaking to the media, Executive Councillor Ronnie Tong was happy to see that the athlete reacted immediately after the mishap. He described the mistake as too ridiculous after repeated occurrences, but stopped short of suggesting that foul play was involved. Janice Lowe, HKIBC.
Top Beijing officials were in Hong Kong to host a seminar discussing how to promote the spirit of the 20th Communist Party Congress. They include Chen Chunyao, chairman of the Legislative Affairs Commission of the National People's Congress Standing Committee. Shen, along with vice chairman of the Committee on Economic Affairs, Xie Fuzhan, reaffirmed the status of one country, two systems in the long term. He was also pleased how Hong Kong went through several major challenges in the past 5 years, and the national security law has played a big part in restoring order. Chief Executive John Lee and other senior SAR officials were also at the event. Esteemed legal professor Albert Chen has rejected suggestions that the city's basic law will be sidelined by the latest request to seek an interpretation from Beijing. This comes after the government asked the National People's Congress to clarify whether foreign lawyers can participate in national security cases.
There is no inconsistency between the national security law and the basic law as far as the participation of lawyers in court proceedings is concerned. Even the basic law doesn't provide that a Hong Kong resident has a right to employ a foreign lawyer to represent him or her in legal proceedings in Hong Kong.
The government made the request shortly after the Court of Final Appeal ruled that British counsel Tim Owen is allowed to represent Jimmy Lai in his trial for collusion and sedition. Basic Law Committee Vice Chairwoman Maria Tam reiterated that the request was not personal. She added the chief executive was only fulfilling his obligation of ensuring that the security legislation is correctly applied. Hong Kong's COVID cases went past 10,000 again, but a health expert says there's no need to tighten social distancing measures for now. But David Hui added there's also little room to ease the curbs ahead of the celebrations for Christmas and the New Year. Fifi Choi reports.
For the second time in 3 days, Hong Kong's COVID cases exceeded 5 digits. There were 10,111 cases in the past 24 hours, but only 5%, or 497 infections, were imported. While the surging caseload would have sounded alarm bells in the past, life seems to go on as normal for most people in the latest wave. Leading government pandemic advisor David He also played down fears that social distancing rules will be tightened again.
The latest effective reproduction number is around 1.12. So that means the number of cases will continue to rise for a while. I guess probably will peak in the next 1 to 2 weeks.
But he admitted the COVID rules may have to stay until the end of the winter peak. The Chinese university professor explained that one deciding factor is whether the public healthcare system can cope with rising infections. Currently, less than 3,000 patients remain in hospital, and He noted many mild cases were able to isolate and undergo treatment at home. But he expressed concern for the spread of COVID among elderly homes.
In early November, there were about 30 nursing homes infected per week, but it actually went up to 79 per week at the end of November.
Many elderly citizens who had received 3 or 4 jabs still require treatment in hospital after infection, he said. The respiratory medicine expert called on authorities to speed up its rollout of the new bivalent vaccine, particularly among vulnerable groups. Fifi Choi, HKIBC.
Overseas, the first meeting of a United Nations committee to draft a potential landmark deal to cut down on plastic pollution has wrapped up in Uruguay. More than 2,000 experts agreed there was a crisis at hand, but were at odds at each other on how to address it. After a week of intense negotiations, global representatives have struck an agreement to tackle plastic pollution. But they were left split on many issues, including whether countries should work towards their own prescribed goals and whether participation should be mandatory. Delegates from more than 160 countries, as well as industry representatives, environmentalists, scientists, waste pickers, and tribal leaders affected by plastic waste, attended the week-long summit, in person or virtually. The United States, a top plastic-producing country, believes that national plans allow governments to tackle the sources and types of plastic pollution deemed most pressing in their region. However, many, like Bjorn Bieler, the coordinator for the International Pollutants Elimination Network, feel like this approach is not only wrong, but making matters worse for other countries.
The U.S. approach to the treaty is really one where the plastic waste problem is dedicated to the domain at the national level. It's really an unfortunate position because it's a low ambition and it burdens countries to address this massive amount of plastics that's coming into their countries. So it's similar to the Paris Agreement, or these national obligations, but the Paris Agreement is really a failure right now. So if we look 30 years from now, what's set to be 4 times more plastic, we're in an extremely unfortunate situation. So you must have a global approach to this.
The next meeting is planned for spring next year. If an agreement is eventually adopted, it would be the first legally binding global treaty to combat plastic pollution. The United States unveiled its latest nuclear stealth bomber after years of secret development. In a demonstration of unparalleled military technology, the U.S. Defense Minister called the aircraft a symbol of deterrence to any potential foe.
The B21 Raider is the first strategic bomber in more than 3 decades. It is a testament to America's enduring advantages in ingenuity and innovation. and it's proof of the department's long-term commitment to building advanced capabilities that will fortify America's ability to deter aggression today and into the future. The B-21's edge will last for decades to come. America's defense will always be rooted in deterring conflict. So we are again making it plain to any potential foe. The risk and the cost of aggression far outweigh any conceivable gains.
The B-21 is part of the Pentagon's efforts to modernize all three legs of its nuclear arsenal as it shifts from counterterrorism campaigns in the past decades to meeting China's rapid military development. On to the weather now. Mainly cloudy with sunny periods tomorrow. Temperatures will range between 18 and 22 degrees. More sunny periods in the coming days. Now let's take a look at the weather around the world. That's our main news for Saturday night. Join us for more news at 11. I'm Azam Khan. Thanks for watching. Good night.